Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Kotaku editor Alyssa Mercante and an online kerfuffle involving Alyssa Mercante, who is apparently just making a name for herself, whacking the beehive with gamers and game devs pretty much every day, I think, to kind of...
when you have to get attention, you know, that's the way she goes about doing it.
Well, people aren't going to Kotaku.
The only way she used to get attention, she's not doing anymore, so...
So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about what is going on here, and I personally believe we did a video yesterday talking about Deadspin and the lawsuit, the defamation suit that is going to proceed. And Deadspin is another Geo Media owned site, and for those of you who haven't been following that story, one of their journalists decided to defame a child, called the child racist for wearing blackface when he deliberately chose a picture of this kid with face paint from one side, right? And then he doubled, tripled down on it. The publication doubled and tripled down on it. It ended up with Geo Media selling Deadspin off, firing everybody, but now they're in a lawsuit, a defamation suit. I think Kotaku is going to end the same way. 100%, and it would not surprise me one bit if Alyssa Mercante is the reason that this happens, because she just goes out of her way to antagonize as many people as possible as if it's her own personal blog. And so we're gonna talk about this latest situation. A dev actually smacked her down. She needs to be smacked down more often. So let's get into it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Yeah, go out to clownfish-minus.com. Help support the reef, guys. So you saw this yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about what happened. I was trying to figure it out what's going on, but someone had put like the thread of like some of the tweets, and I thought that he was very polite, all things considered, given what he had to deal with.
Yeah, so this is a dev she got into it with.
He was like the senior,
the director.
He was in charge of it.
Yeah, the guy in charge of Ori and the Blind Forest. Spencer McCulley over at Bounding in the Comics encapsulates the whole drama. We caught the tail end of it, and it's like, what the hell is going on here? So he says, in response to an attempt by Kotaku's senior editor, does that mean she's old? Alyssa Mercante to bash him in the court of public opinion, Moon Studios' Ori series director Thomas Mahler has proven that he has no time for bad faith internet discussions. This started on October 3rd. So this has been going on for like a week now.
Yeah, I totally didn't even know anything about it.
Twitch user Rachel Cherry, perhaps better known by Ingenue, took to her personal Twitter account to author a lengthy thread decrying the numerous video game players and critics who have found themselves fed up with the continued pushing of corporate activism-styled concepts of DEI within the media.
Which is provable because the sales charts and anecdotal stories is kind of proven that.
This is fact at this point. In fact, they just did a survey, a poll on NeoGAF, and NeoGAF is pretty far left, and they did a poll on NeoGAF, and they're like, yeah, we care about good games. It's a bonus, I guess, if they're diverse and inclusive, but pushing that over good gameplay and what games that actually freaking work, yeah, not a good thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, they keep acting like it's just it's insults, it's just toxic men, but there's a lot of women who feel the same way. A lot of people who aren't straight, white, and male who feel the same way.
So I did see this thread. I didn't want to give her the oxygen because she just seems like she's screaming into the void here, but she's like, the discourse is bullshit. Shut the fuck up. Nobody's coming to save you. No incels are going to band together to create an immaculately gate-kept industry for you. The existential dread you grapple with has everything to do with the fact that you weren't loved enough and that most people find you insufferable.
Well, wait, is she talking from experience?
I don't know. No matter how much muscle mass you grind out at the gym, people will still find you obnoxious and repulsive because you never learned how to listen to other folks' lived experiences.
Okay, but the thing is, the fact that you keep pushing these lived experiences instead of good gaming is your problem.
No one's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you, Alyssa Mercante.
And she really likes the word incel, and all that. So, as soon as you have to use that, then I know you're dismissed.
It's so weird because a lot of the people that are pushing back against this are older dudes that are married with kids, and they're clearly not incels. But okay. it's just the idea of freedom. So this is somebody else. This is not Alyssa Mercante, but she gets into it because of this whole debacle here, this thread, which I saw, and I'm like, oh, whatever. She's a waste of breath here. But the idea of freedom and independence has been sold to you so that you don't feel any internal responsibility to care or feel interconnected to others within your community over video game. We're talking about video games.
I'll translate. Bitch is mad that people aren't letting their lived experiences, their, identity politics and that into games, that those games aren't selling because the general public globally doesn't want it. It's not because, and that includes people who identify in the way that she's supposed to be speaking for. That's what the whole thing's about. I'm mad because you aren't listening to me. That's translation. There you go. Everybody's an incel who doesn't listen to me. Oh, everybody's a bigot who doesn't listen to me. Here's my glamour shot. I so pretty.
All right. So a bunch of people got into this. Among the numerous individuals whose attentions were caught by the thread was none other than the aforementioned Mahler, I think it's Mahler, the director behind Moon Studios' popular Ori and the Blind Forest and the sequel Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
I have not played, but it looks really cute.
It does. Ostensibly due to his checking out her full profile, he took notice of Cherry's pinned tweet wherein she claimed to have worked on the second Ori title. Oh, okay. His curiosity piqued. Mahler would then inquire on October 9th. I'm the director behind both of these games, and I don't know who you are and how you were affiliated with this game, to which Cherry will explain, I worked with Xbox User Research. I was the user research assistant.
I was a user research assistant.
Nice to meet you.
So wait, she didn't even directly work with the game.
No, she didn't.
But he wasn't very mean about it. He's just like, I don't know who you are.
I don't know who you are.
And then he's like, that could explain it. He wasn't being mean.
He said, I don't want to cause you any trouble. I just saw you posting that you worked on Ori and I had no idea who you were. Since you're calling people names online, I thought it was important to inform people that you never actually worked for Moon Studios and that you didn't ever directly engage with anyone at Moon. Always be nice to people, right? Even those you disagree with. Oh, ouch.
Yeah, but he's just like, I don't know you. You weren't here, but you are acting as if you're representing the company, which you technically weren't. You were an interface assistant. So
this is how how Alyssa Mercante inserted herself into the situation. You're a dickhead.
Well, she knows a lot about Dick Spacehead, so
Thomas Mahler. I don't even know who you are. In turn, Mercante then shared an excerpt from a 2022 Venture Beat piece wherein the former Moon Studios team members accused him of fostering an oppressive workplace and shot back. Maybe you forgot.
Wait, so she wrote a hit piece 2 years ago. Is that what's going on?
I don't know. Maybe.
Is it her article?
I don't know if it is or not.
Who's
nuts? Dean Takahashi is the one who did the hit piece on him.
So so it's even worse then.
She went to go
search. So let me get this straight. He says to the girl, you're calling people names is probably not a good thing to do, especially if you're trying to say you're associated with the games. And in response, she calls him a dickhead. And because, they're like, I don't even know who you are. Her answer is to go try to dig dirt up on him immediately.
Yes.
To try to cause him trouble because he dared question the fact that this other girl was saying she worked on the game and she wasn't at the studio.
Yeah. Refusing to put up with the Kotaku editor's nonsense, he responded to Mercante's holier-than-thou attitude with a lengthy statement that began, Hey, Alyssa, you're apparently a journalist from Kotaku, so I'm guessing you haven't worked in actual game development yet. Let me try to explain the thing you posted about, which I'm guessing was from that hit piece a few years back. He said, I'm guilty of what's stated in the image, and that's okay because this is the normal creative process. We brought in, this is very interesting. This explains everything going on in AAA gaming right now and why so many people are losing their jobs. We brought lots of veterans into Moon because generally great people want to get the opportunity to work on great projects, and that's our goal at Moon. We always set out to create the kind of games we want to play ourselves and that fill some hole in the market because for some reason these holes haven't been filled yet. You can insert a joke here.
Well, yeah. She knows all about holes getting filled, but yeah.
And so we're all incredibly passionate about what we do. With great talent comes a lot of enthusiasm and passion, which absolutely leads to arguments because ultimately everyone is working hard on getting their vision into the game. Also, everyone at Moon understands that we're working together as a team. So the point of these arguments is then to try to convince each other why this or that solution would be the best thing for the game. And the best solution ought to win. Most of the times, the beauty behind these arguments is that everybody gets a chance to contribute. And more often than not, the actual solution will be the one that ultimately everybody contributed to, because we're dealing with very complex issues, right? It's chaotic, control. So basically, he's saying, like, look, there are going to be a lot of arguments, a lot of discussions. Some people are not going to feel heard, but we have to go with what is best for the project, what is going to make.
But a lot of people are going to get heard because it usually takes a lot of opinions.
Right. And he said, yeah, absolutely. Every now and then, he's a boss. I had to put my foot down and set the direction because I'm the game director, and ultimately it's my responsibility to ensure that everyone knows where things are headed and that decisions get made. Basically, that makes him toxic, I guess, because he was being a boss.
That's his job.
Yeah, it has also happened that I agreed to a certain decision, play tested more, and changed the direction after. Again, to me, this is a normal part of the process. Since things get clearer and clearer, the more stuff gets implemented, the more that we play and test. It can be painful. This is how creative work happens. But my job, like any good director, is to understand what's going on and make sure the right decisions get made, even if some work might get rendered useless in the process.
So basically, people bitched and moaned because they changed direction and they didn't get their stuff put in it the way they wanted.
Yeah, he said a few years back, we hired some folks that didn't really fit our culture.
Okay, there we go.
So we had to part ways with them, and then this article happened. Wasn't a great feeling to see some ex-Moon folks talk badly behind our backs, but ultimately it just made it clear these folks shouldn't have worked here in the first place, and I hope they're happier now wherever they landed. This happens all
Let me guess.
the time.
He didn't insert my activism shit.
Probably. I hope you have a nice day. Yours, Dickhead. I would sign it that way too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, that's Mr. Head to you. His statement.
I'm trying to be good right now.
His statement was met with the opinion that he was way nicer to her than she deserves. He said, I don't know her. I prefer to be nice to strangers. She certainly is strange. She's working in the industry, so she ought to know how these processes work. And I had a few minutes to spend. No, I think what he's doing is intentionally making her look stupid, because she doesn't understand that when you're working on a multi-million-dollar game or movie or whatever it is, animated project, whatever, some stuff gets scrapped. Not everybody gets a cookie. You know, you might get a participation trophy and you can put it on your resume, but like, you're not the director. If you're just the in-betweener on an animated project, you're not the director, and you got to do what your boss tells you to do. As of this article, she has not responded to Mahler's final tweet. I don't think she's going to.
Well, she might. She's stupid. She can't keep her mouth shut. But yeah, she clearly hasn't done this stuff herself. I mean, she was, doing other jobs leading up to her journalism, which we're not going to talk about. But,
articles like this, the Assassin's Creed Shadows and Outlaws, it was never about anything other than hate.
She's the one that got the one guy to do an interview. And then, according to the person who was interviewed, that she was spinning it in, he took what he said, but spun it in a way that was kind of changing the context. Something like that. She
basically goes and looks for people to use or do hit pieces on. And this is what happens. Yeah, there was a guy, he was making a joke about jiggle physics in his indie farming game, his cozy game, because there was a lot of discussion around, I think it was Stellar Blade at the time. And instead of just having a conversation with him, she brought him into the Discord or whatever.
Used him to try to go after Grums and crap.
And he's like, what does one thing have to do with this?
She did. She took his interview and made the whole thing about attacking Grums. And he's like, I don't understand why this is even a thing.
Yeah. She's going to wind up, this is my opinion, she's going to wind up getting this publication sued, just like Deadspin.
Well, she's out there threatening to sue other people because they said about
mean things on YouTube.
Yeah, they said about she's supposed to suck dick. Well, she has the post out there where she said that she
was a sex worker. Dick. She said she was.
She said she was.
Her publicly. She loud and proud. She said she was a sex worker, and I think she wants to keep this gig because she doesn't want to go back to that. But I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Kotaku's never been a bastion of journalistic integrity, but they've really come up against it a couple of times, or come up right next to it. Again, going back to Troy Levitt, Troy Levitt probably could have sued Kotaku for defamation, because they literally said he was like a racist, Gamergator and stuff like that based on some of his videos. And that led to him, whether he chose to leave or he got pushed out, he left regardless.
Well, go back up to the top. What are her stories? She seems to be staying away from a lot of these kind of articles recently. Have you noticed this?
Yeah,
she says a few things, but it seems like it's more middle of the road stuff. It's not like she's not going on her articles, at least. Like really, really, like it's about a jacket, you know, and about movies and different things. She's not going down the whole, you know, for the most part, she seems to have laid off the whole gaming thing that she was really doubling, tripling down on. Except for on Twitter, she's still trying to do that. But I wonder if she already got told to knock it off.
I think she probably was, because look, that Deadspin lawsuit could end Geo Media. I mean, they sold, now as I understand it, they sold off the Deadspin website, but Geo Media itself is still responsible for that lawsuit because they owned it when this happened.
Cause she, like, I know she's been doing YouTube videos. Like, I guess they had like interviews and stuff for Kotaku and stuff like that. But she's not like going down the road as much as she was doing before. And I do think she might have gotten told.
Stick to sports.
Yeah,
I think so. But yeah, there we go. She needs to just stop. I mean, you're allowed to have your opinions, but calling a guy a dickhead just because he's like, yeah, I don't know who you are. Have we met? You know, if you're going to make a big ass deal about working on my game and I don't know who the hell you are. Mm-hmm. That's not being a dickhead.
No,
that's just kind of like, what the hell is going on?
You're putting a look out for the studio. That's not a good look. And I'm not understanding who you are, why you think you can. You know, and it was fair. And even when he found out what she did, he's like, okay, that explains it. But he wasn't like, you know, I don't know. She just keeps stepping in it right and left because that's what she's trying to do. She's deliberately trying to step in it right and left. I mean, she's all about dishing it out, but she can't take it. Yep. People call her out on, you know, stuff that she's posted about herself. Can't do that.
So let's wrap this one up. There we go. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.